Okay,
I know
it
that.
should be live now.
I don't see it yet. I'm waiting.
I'm able to see it. To be honest with you.
No,
22 murder. Yeah, I see everything. So
yeah, hold on. Yep, it is on there. Shit.
although I like the
Yep.
traditional, just like watching like the YouTube and from a silent perspective.
I
But it
know,
is nice that we have like this Discord thing to where we could communicate a little bit better.
it should be live on YouTube.
I have a bad habit of saying some off the wall stuff.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I see you on YouTube.
You can hear it.
Yep.
You can
It's a
hear it.
hyperactivity.
Yep. Look. Okay. 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 So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna press play on the show, and then I'm gonna see if this works. What do you guys think?
Yeah, we could test it. I can definitely hear it. It's a little quiet.
It has a delay. That's going to be a problem.
I much prefer just to watch on YouTube and moderate with that voice. To be honest with you, although it's a nice idea thinking about it, but thinking about it further, I think the liability of me saying some off the wall stuff is a lot higher if I can't see what I'm saying.
Okay, what'd you say? I'm trying to hold on. All right, what about like that?
I like the idea of being able to talk while watching the stream, but I prefer just to do it straight through YouTube because I feel like if I have a voice chat, I'm more liable to say off the wall stuff because I don't see what I'm saying when I'm typing it out. Make sense?
Well, okay, but then you're not gonna be able to talk to the chat, so I'll have to be stopping it to respond to you. That's what I was. And plus, there's got to be something over the video. We gotta talk, pause it and talk about it. So I figured it'd be easier this way. But if you don't want to do it this way, that's fine. We'll find a different way to do it. Right. You got to tell me when to pause it when you want to say something about the video. Or if we happen to get a troll, something like that. Okay. Shit. Okay.
All right. Let's see how this goes.
Yes. Okay. We're watching the solving of a 22-year-old crime.
Yeah, Monty, you're pretty good, my son's gonna watch on the Discord side. It's a little bit too glitchy on my side, so I think I'm just going to be on the YouTube end. Sorry about that, Nikki.
It's fine. Why don't we just all do YouTube? I'll stop this.
Okay, I'll be just watch on.
Share screen.
The yellow ribbons are everywhere inside this Walmart, a sign of the current worry hosts have for Zeb Quinn's safety.
I probably talk to 10 or 15 people a day that ask, how's Zeb? Has anybody heard anything about Zeb?
But anytime you have a young 8-year-old, person, whether it's a boy or a girl, disappears and then it just, out of nowhere, it should captivate our attention and our concern, and we should want answers.
Jason worked with Zeb at Walmart, at the local Walmart. And Jason said that the two of them left Walmart that evening, drove together to look at a used car that Jason knew about and that Zeb might want to purchase. Jason said that while they were driving to this car, Zeb rear-ended Jason's car. They both stopped, got out, and somewhere along this way, Zeb said he had a pager. His pager had gone off, and that he needed to make a phone call.
And the key to finding out exactly what happened to Zeb may be in retracing his final steps on the night he disappeared. And we now know that he came here to this Citgo at the corner of Hendersonville and Long Shoals Road because he came past these doors to use this phone to return a page that he'd received. We know that
I am
because
so
Zeb was
sorry.
caught on tape.
Quinn was last seen in this Hendersonville Road convenience store at 9:14 at night with Jason Owens.
When he came back from making the phone call, Jason said Zeb was very excited, and he just drove off, and that was it.
I got a phone call here at the store, and it turns out it was Jason Owens calling in saying that he was Zeb Quinn and that he was not going to be in to work. And I knew that was not Zeb's voice. And so as soon as he hung up, I hit star 69 on the phones to find out that it was traced to Volvo Construction Company where Jason Owens worked.
Jason made a phone call from his place of employment to Zeb's place of employment, pretending to be Zeb. I mean, that's policing 101. That can be figured out right away.
Call Walmart. What a dumb idea was that? I mean, just think about it.
Hey there.
Hi, Jason.
Yeah.
I'm Heather. He's the last person police know Zeb was with the night he disappeared. And one of the things we wanted to ask Jason about is why he checked himself into this urgent care center the day after Zeb disappeared. And more importantly, why he didn't mention that to detectives. Jason told us his trip to the urgent care had nothing to do with Zeb. His injuries were from a car wreck. And as far as the police were concerned, he would only answer the questions they asked.
There is no evidence so far that they can find that he was harmed, but they can't figure out where he went to. There's no indication that he just ran away either.
Now, from Western North Carolina's news leader, this is News 13 Tonight.
Another strange twist in the case came 2 weeks after Quinn disappeared. His missing car turned up at Three Pigs Barbecue on McDowell Street.
The car, to this day, it's sort of impossible to figure out.
We may get some information from the car that, will be able to steer us in the right direction or give us some idea of what's going on.
Clues to the disappearance of Zeb Quinn are few, but strange. This drawing found on the back of the missing teen's abandoned car is something police can't say they've seen before.
On the back of the car, there was a set of lips that was drawn on the back window of the car, and on each side of the lips is an exclamation point. This could have been drawn with a lipstick, crayon, magic marker, or paint, and we're not sure when the drawing was placed on the car.
Inside the car, investigators found this, a magnetic hotel key. So far, they haven't been able to trace where it came from or who used it last.
You have a hotel room key, and the local police somehow can't pull any usable information off of it. You had, I believe, a jacket that maybe was not Zeb's size. And then you had this pair of lips drawn in red lipstick on the back windshield. Just bizarre.
Hello?
Once the car was found, that really,
I wanted to tell everyone hello, and don't forget to press like and subscribe, please.
made it seem like it just didn't make sense, but I feel like the car was placed there and set up in that way to just
I know there's lots of lag. I cannot help that. It's been that way since day one, and there's not enough people in the chat to stay talking on my live stream, but we're making it work.
0 it went off.
Police now know the car was parked here at the Little Pigs parking lot sometime between 9 p.m. Saturday night and 8:30 Sunday morning. What police don't know is why it took nearly 2 weeks for the car to turn up at all.
I think it was placed there to where it would be found easily. If not, then we'd have found the car behind the warehouse out in the woods or something like that.
And you go over it time and again trying to piece it together. What are these various elements in sum total? It's just sort of impossible to figure out, and it gives the case another layer and a sort of broader life.
The local couple came forward reporting to police that they saw Zeb's Mazda being driven on Tunnel Road by a white female about 25 to 30 years old with light brown curly hair. From their description, a composite sketch was made.
Yeah, the sketch of Misty, or the sketch of someone who appeared to be Misty, was another fascinating piece.
I even was open to the fact that maybe there was a side to him that I didn't know.
They had spent months speculating what had happened to him, and this was one of the possible motives. They replayed these final days, these final weeks with me over and over, and one thing we talked about.
At the end of this, Michael, you can totally tell us all about it. All about your speech and how did it go. And Miss Mudduck, I am so sorry about the Discord thing.
Quite a bit was the fact that Zeb had a bit of a crush on a young woman that he went to school with. But she had a boyfriend. And there was a phone call not long before Zeb disappeared in which there seemed to be some sort of threat from the boyfriend to Zeb.
Both Zeb's mother and father, and I believe also sister, gave a lot of information to law enforcement back then about the relationship between Misty Taylor and Zeb's crush on her and Wesley Smith, the boyfriend. While certainly we could see in the documentation that they were interviewed on a number of occasions, what we
just know I still love you, Miss Muddy, and you are the greatest thing that ever happened to my channel. We will figure out a way to make this work. I promise.
22 years later is that, you know, there was no reason for Jason to cause any harm to Zeb Quinn. They were friends. They fished together some. There was no motive whatsoever. Jason didn't know who Misty Taylor was or Wesley was. I think far more fodder for investigation there. There was some, but it just occurred to us that there was very little follow-up on anything.
Just in obtaining the samples doesn't mean that we necessarily have something to compare it against, because at this point we don't.
This new warrant focuses on a woman who detectives say Quinn had an affection for and whose boyfriend was abusive.
Presently, we don't consider the person the search warrant was issued against to be a suspect, a person of interest. All we know is that she did have a relationship with Zeb Quinn.
But whether it helped solve the case remains a mystery.
It wasn't really a new lead. It was just some kind of unfinished casework that needed to be done when we went through and reviewed the file.
The disappearance itself, the discovery of the car, the possible love triangle, and you had a prime suspect who the police never seemed to be able to get their hands around. And then the case went on for years, you know. But all those years, it seemed that folks in Asheville never really forgot that. You know, the thing is, when someone disappears and stays gone, those theories multiply. And often they're based on almost nothing.
What Jason, has expressed to us is that he didn't trust law enforcement. He didn't trust anybody. He didn't trust his family. He felt completely alone.
Summed up, the warrant comes to this conclusion. There is probable cause to believe that evidence material to the investigation of the disappearance of Zeb Quinn exists on the person of Robert Jason Owens.
And we went to his residence and served the search warrant and took him into custody and seized the evidence, and then he was released.
Jason Owens was brought here to the Buncombe County Jail Wednesday night, where he was processed for forensic evidence, including head and pubic hair, blood, and saliva samples.
This particular evidence will be compared to evidence that we seized.
That's when you need a lawyer before they get any of that from you. Get a lawyer.
From the vehicle of the person that we served a search warrant on, and the vehicle that had belonged to Zeb Quinn.
And there's new information included in the warrant. Jason Owens' own mother reported her son missing the morning after Zeb disappeared. Mrs. Owens stated she got worried and called the Buncombe County Sheriff's Department. Records show Mrs. Owens called at 7 a.m.
In one of those encounters with law enforcement, there was an accident, and Jason ended up in the hospital.
Police say they tried to pull 24 Jason Owens over, suspecting he was driving drunk. Instead, he fled, a chase that went from 240 to 26 all the way down Ledbetter Road.
Sometime shortly after turning on Ledbetter Road, shots were fired at the officer from the occupant of the vehicle. We received information from several people that live here at residence that they had also heard shots being fired.
The SWAT team is searching for the gun that might have been used, and this isn't the first time police have tried to turn up evidence involving Owens.
The past is the present every single day. So it's hard just because it raises my hopes.
Hopes that a wreck today might in some way shed some light on her son's disappearance almost 2 years ago. Asheville police officers reenact what they...
What do you guys think about this so far? What do you think happened to him?
know about the minutes just before 18-year-old Zeb Quinn disappeared. Officers are posing as Zeb and Jason Owens, who they believe was the final person to see him alive. One of the main reasons for the exposure, police are hoping to figure out where Zeb's car was for the 2 weeks between when he disappeared and when the car was found at Little Pig's Barbecue near Asheville High School.
We are really wanting to see who had that vehicle without seeking criminal charges against them. Just where did they locate the vehicle? We think they just went joyriding, and they might be able to tell us where they found it.
Quinn's family just wants some basic answers.
You know, anybody who's missing anybody in their life, the big unanswered question is usually why. And I don't even really need to know that, just where, and let us have some closure.
New information on the Quinn case led detectives to execute a search warrant on a piece of property in Leicester.
As you know, there's never been a body recovered in the investigation involving Zeb Quinn's disappearance. The Asheville Police Department is committed to leaving no stone unturned.
Based on new leads and all these years later, Owen is now a person of interest.
We are serving a search warrant on this property, and we would like to recover evidence in the furtherance of the investigation involving.
I think it's gonna end up being something like that too. Yep.
Involving the disappearance of Zeb Quinn.
They've asked for this man's help. He's a forensics geophysicist from Colorado.
In many cases, small departments, and Asheville's not small, but they don't understand the value of aerial photographs.
He looks like a young Bernie Sanders.
To obtain aerial photographs.
Clark uses remote sensing to detect disturbances in the ground that may reveal what investigators are looking for.
Obviously, a 7-year-old case can create a lot of challenges. There is no direct area that we're searching. It's a very large area.
But after 2 days of extensively searching this property, nothing. Authorities did not find any evidence linking Jason Owens to the murder, and they determined this is not where the crime took place. Quinn's family is desperate for answers, but unfortunately, those would not come from the search of Owens' home.
He has giant ass fucking ears.
Detectives were able to obtain a warrant for Robert Jason Owen on Monday, March 16th, for the breaking and entering and larceny from 87 Hookers Gap Road. He did admit to taking items from the Codd residence, and some of those we had recovered from Donna Drive.
The Codds were a very attractive couple, very likable. They were involved in TV and film. JT was involved in television production. He was behind the camera. Christy was a very vivacious front of the camera, on camera personality, if you will, and that her dream was to appear on cooking shows and to be sort of a permanent presence in that world. And I learned that she'd had some successes already.
On Sunday, March 15, 2015, the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office received a request for a welfare check at 87 Hookers Gap Road in the Lester community.
Making fun of Bernie Sanders is my favorite. Everybody gets free ice cream. You pay double for the cone. You buy your neighbor's cone, you buy your cone, and then the government gives you free ice cream.
Mountain View in Leicester is overwhelmed by the sound of a highway patrol search helicopter off in the distance.
Bill Schoen, who is Christy's father, called in because she was supposed to be in Mississippi on Sunday, and they had not been able to make contact with her. Patrol officers responded to the residence and ultimately met with a neighbor who had a key and were able to enter the residence and determine that there was evidence of suspicious activity.
Deputies found the couple's vehicles there at home and their 2 family dogs inside.
When detectives were unable to locate the Codds, a missing persons investigation was started immediately.
It is mountainous terrain, quite a few trees, homes interspersed here and there, and so that does present challenges in trying to do a search like this.
Loved ones and neighbors more worried as more time passes.
Hopefully they find them. Hate to hear anything about the neighbors, and like I said, it's a really nice couple.
Detectives prepare.
I'd prefer not to talk politics. I was just talking shit. That was totally my bad. But yeah, no politics. We're cutting it close on the religion, but because I don't read the Bible like other people, I'm pretty protected. But yeah, politics probably bad.
And executed several search warrants and preservation orders for cell phone, telephone data. On Sunday evening, the Sheriff's Office received a report of suspicious activity on Donna Drive in the Candler community. Deputies responded and recovered items belonging to Christy Schoen Codd.
In that garbage container, they found a handgun, ammunition, pillow covers, and a bedspread, also jewelry items.
Just before 7 p.m. at their rural home, Buncombe County deputies sealed up their driveway with crime tape.
And I really do hope that they're found safe. I really do, because she's pregnant.
Cecilia Owens is Christy's good friend and neighbor who says Christy was expecting a child. Within 45 minutes of our interview with Cecilia, deputy cars raced up Hooker's Gap
No.
to Cecilia's neighbor.
Don't redact anything you say. Or anything you just said. It's fine. Dragon Wizard! Oh, us fucking weirdos dressed like wolves love you. We do. I love you. Will you join my Discord? And man, I like you so much. I'm gonna press play. I'm gonna press play until you're ready to talk to me. Well, when I see it.
Then put up on the perimeter of the property that two neighbors confirm belong to Jason Owens. Investigators staying on the scene, neighbors seeing Jason under arrest.
There were just about 4 of them went up there.
Look, Drunken Wizard, you need to join my Discord ASAP. I'm gonna send it to you right now. Okay, it goes bad in 7 days. But I'm gonna post it on YouTube and you grab it right now so I can delete it. Okay? And other people that are watching, if you're like a super fan of mine, because I know there's a couple of you, you can also join my Discord, but please don't be a dick face. No party pooping. The rules are no party pooping. Your freedom of speech ends where my feelings and the feelings of 2 or more other people agree. You redact by clicking the 3 little red or the 3 buttons and it'll come out. Will you get a Discord because I'm special? Well, mostly all I do on Discord is watch documentaries, a lot of wrestling documentaries. Saturday, we're going to watch Pink Floyd's The Wall. So is that enough for you to download Discord? Well, actually, you don't even got to download it. You don't got to download it. It will play in your browser. Okay, so don't do all the complicated shit. Because I didn't. It's a fucking pain in the ass. Okay, but I love you absolutely so much. And I always want you in the party pen.
And they got to get him out.
Jason's told News 13 off
Is
camera.
that you, baby?
No information on Jason or why was arrested.
Information that interview led detectives to prepare and execute several warrants that were legal humane from the resident at 8 Owen Road in the community.
I wish to learn of this new chapter in Jim Owens' life. The Cod killings completely threw me for a loop.
There are 2 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of murder of an unborn child. In the 2 first-degree murder cases, there are 2 possible punishments: life without parole or death. In the murder of an unborn child case, the maximum possible punishment is life without parole.
When Owens was brought in for questioning, the dumpster was sitting in a secured lot behind the sheriff's office in plain sight, there for Owens to see.
When he pulled in, he just physically, it was a physical reaction he had.
The significance is that then they brought him into the interview room, and he knew that they were going to get in there and find.
He knew what was in there.
And that guy aged really well. For someone that's been keeping a secret for so long, normally Normally those people turn out fat and disgusting, but that guy aged really well, which probably meant this had no, he didn't care about doing it. It was nothing to him.
This mobile home, located at 8 Owens.
I have fucking a 22-year-old, a 20-year-old, and an 18-year-old. I am also old. And I'm super disabled and I walk with a walker. So I am also old.
Road is a part of a much bigger story.
Sure does raise a lot of questions, and I mean, it would not be truthful to say that it didn't, but we don't know.
And I'll be 40 in November.
We have with that, and we continue to work through that and process that scene.
The Buncombe County Deputy Fire Marshal says this mobile home fire is suspicious.
That fire was located at the Owens residence. It was located on that curtilage. That was a building that was not his primary residence.
With all of this crime scene tape here recently, people are beginning to lose sleep because of what's going on in their community.
Maybe someone was helping him and they've burnt that down to cover up evidence. That's what I'm thinking.
According to Asheville police records, on March 26, 2015, Jason's uncle Gene met with detectives. He told them once it was revealed how Jason disposed of the Codds remains, quote, "Maybe that's what happened to Zeb," end quote. Gene then pointed them to a
He's the same age as your grandma.
product on Jason's property.
Police searched the property of Jason Owens. He's a person of interest in Quinn's disappearance, and he is currently in jail charged with the murders of a Lester couple and their unborn child.
News 13's Jerica Ensko joins us live and has those search warrants. Jerica, what kind of evidence was...
He's the same age as your grandma or a little bit younger. He's somewhere between 65 and 71.
Seized.
Darcel, police aren't saying anything about what they found, like whether it was human bones or if they believe they have discovered Quinn's remains. So these documents still leave us with a lot of questions. Those search warrants released Monday tell us what investigators involved in Quinn's case found. Fabric, leather materials, unknown hard fragments, unknown white powder substance, metal, and concrete are the listed items seized from Owens' property on that day.
Gene got out first, went to the back of his truck. I got out of my truck and walked around back.
To the back of your truck?
To the back of Gene's truck. And then Zeb got out of the car and walked beside the passenger side on Gene's truck.
So Zeb comes around toward you guys there?
Yes.
And then what?
Well, when I asked Gene where Misty was at, he said she'd be there in a few minutes. And I guess Zeb was thinking too that she was down that trail, and he turned looking down the trail. And at that time, Gene reached in the back of a pickup truck, brought out a .22 rifle, and shot him in the back of the head.
Thank you so much for coming here and talking to me.
It's about my bedtime normal.
Well, we won't keep you any longer than we have to.
That would be good. I'll try to cooperate in any way I can.
All right. This is the part we have to pay attention to because they're talking to the killer. So we're going to find out what happened.
What do you think happened to Zeb?
To Zeb?
Yeah.
Honestly, don't know.
What kind of rifles did you have?
22s, primarily. Shotgun, 22s. I like 22s, just little planters. I asked him, why would you so far away from the house? And he had, as I remember, he had an old plastered concrete up, and then later it became a pile that he burned brush and so forth in, he just make it as a burn area. And then, of course, when all the things come across the news about the burning bodies, I thought about the burn pile.
That's a big connection to make, huh?
Huh? Well, it's all the years I hadn't thought nothing about it, And then TV's full of the burn. And then the mom's place burned down the second day or so. And the burn thing, it sort of focused back, at the burn pile. Jason loved to burn. He burned, he was always burning something.
The following day, investigators conducted a search out here in the Bent Creek area where Jason alleges that was murdered. They recovered 17 various .22 caliber shells. Meanwhile, Gene denied any involvement and said if Jason had implicated him, it was, quote, a lie.
The picture that we have of Gene Owens has to do looking with talking to other people about him. We spent quite a bit of time talking to women that Gene had been involved with. One in particular, a woman who told us that she left this area because Gene threatened to kill her.
I met Gene, I think 1999. He fixed my car and we started a relationship not long after that. So he was my boyfriend. When I was packing, his sister had called and I told her, Betsy, that I was leaving, and she called him, and he came and he blocked the driveway so I couldn't get out. And at the top of the hill there was a trailer there, and it was a retired police officer, and he said, called the police because he seen Gene had a knife. Well, Gene after that said that it was because he was going to cut my tires so I couldn't leave. So that's the first time that he scared me. Gene, you did what Gene said. If you watched in his life, like where he worked or just asking anybody, there was a loyalty to him or respect. Everyone.
You ever talk to Jason about this? About him being wrapped up in this or the police hassling him?
No.
Through the Zeb Quinn disappearance, you guys are still in your relationship. What are you noticing between Gene and Jason? Did they become closer? Were they still distant from each other?
Gene was spending a lot of time talking to Jason about things, but he said it was to try and figure out how to help him.
What do you think he meant by that?
Well, Gene had always said that you can't get DNA evidence from crocodile poop. Meaning you can get rid of a body and no one will find it.
Do you remember watching the news around the time Zeb went missing?
It was on TV each day,
During this Zeb saga, obviously it's broadcast everywhere. It's all over the county. It's also making national attention. Did you see Gene switch at any point? Did he ever seem like he was trying to also hide something?
Gene was always hiding something, I feel like. So I couldn't say it was like exaggerated more. I can't explain that.
Do you feel like he was one person you never really could predict what he was thinking or going to do?
Oh yeah. You weren't going to get to the heart of him. you know somebody, you were never going to get there.
Now to our top story. A grand jury indicts the man accused of murdering a pregnant Food Network reality star and her husband on charges he dismembered to their remains.
Now, Robert Jason Owens was told of these new indictments in court today.
Robert Jason Owens stood expressionless behind a glass and steel partition in the courtroom as he learned of the new charges against him.
You have been indicted with 2 counts of robbery with a dangerous weapon, These are Class D felonies.
And then the next.
You have also been indicted with the offenses of dismembering human remains.
Owens showed no reaction and only spoke briefly to ask for a public defender.
What would you like to do about an attorney, sir?
I was appointed to represent him when he was charged with the murder of the Codds. It was kind of unusual that almost from the beginning, when Mr. Owens was charged with the murder of the Codds, the name Zeb Quinn surfaced immediately. And the first time it came up, frankly, as I recall, was in a press conference in which the district attorney, Todd Williams, the Asheville Police Department, and Sheriff Van Duncan at the time held a press conference.
What's APD's involvement in this case?
Well, one thing I was asked early on is this the same Robert Jason Owens that was looked at as a suspect during the Zeb Quinn homicide investigation. Is not our case, and I can't make reference to anything about that case, but what I did do was confirm, yes, that is the same Robert Jason Owens that is mentioned in that case.
And they passed out information to the media which commingled information about the Codds murder and the disappearance of Zeb Quinn, and the fact that Jason Owens had been a suspect. And in fact, the district attorney, Todd Williams, had made some comments to Sean Devereaux and I about wanting to know whether or not our client could reveal exactly what happened to him, his involvement.
I began thinking about going back to Asheville and doing more on it and seeing Jason. So I spoke with Jason's attorney many times. I reached out to the Codds representatives. I reached out back to the Quinn family because I was thinking there's something really odd and special and grisly about these two cases that not only make for good storytelling, if you will, but are important for people to understand.
Defense lawyer Victoria Jane checked in with Robert Jason Owens during what turned out to be a pretrial hearing of only about 15 minutes. District Attorney Todd Williams was here to notify the court of his intention to seek the death penalty in the March murders of Christy and J.T. Codd, also their unborn child. Owens took a seat next to his attorneys as the DA laid out special circumstances he believes qualify this case for capital punishment, multiple victims, as well as a charge of armed robbery. As for Robert Jason Owens, he offered no reaction, kept his head lowered as he left the courtroom shackled at the waist and ankles.
This is News 13 at noon.
New this hour, a Buncombe County man pleads guilty in the murders of a pregnant Food Network star, her husband, and their unborn child.
Robert Jason Owens sat there, agreed to a plea deal, which has again not yet been finalized, and then sat emotionless as the assistant district attorney read out some of the graphic details of these murders. And then again, stone-faced, watching as the families of JT and Christy Codd.
I'm sorry, I'm not sticking up for anybody, but that is unfair because they are told they have to do that. So for them to be like, "You stone-faced, they have to do that. Like, if they get all emotional, they get in trouble. So, like, what do you guys think? Like, isn't that something that they're told they have to do?
Got to read statements about their loved ones. Owens admitted to killing the Codds, but he said that he accidentally ran over them when his truck got stuck in the mud near their house. The assistant district attorney said he then took the bodies inside, cut them up, and burned them, disposing of the remains.
The district attorney should be ashamed of himself. I really feel like he's let the families down. I think everybody should have heard every piece of evidence that the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office collected. Everybody should have heard the real story. Now we're going to hear a story that's been made up by the defense team and Jason himself.
Owens' defense team says that he was heavily impaired on medications that day and that he didn't want to report the accident, as they called it, once he had run over them, and that's why he had disposed of the bodies.
He always, he was always extremely remorseful. Not that that makes up for it or is an excuse for it. But you know, he certainly was honest about what happened.
I know it hadn't been weighing on you all this time.
They were two of my best friends. They were. I loved them because they loved me. J.T. and Christy didn't have friends. They had family. And, you know, just like that, I was part of their family. And, you know, this wasn't something intentional. It was an accident.
I have to say my first reaction is that I am so heartbroken. I am so hurt. I'm disgusted, and I'm the injustice that is being done to JT, to Christy and their unborn child, and to both of their families. There should be no plea deal.
This truly horrific crime presented many challenges, but in the end, the victims' families support this resolution.
Okay. I thought that was the killer. So never mind about what I said about that being the killer. No, but he does look great.
Holds Jason Owens accountable for precisely what he admitted doing. These pleas, signed, sworn, and entered in court today, deliver a punishment that is tantamount to a sentence of death in prison for Jason Owens.
I can tell you we certainly don't believe Jason Owens' story. I think the district attorney and his office put it best yesterday, and that he's absolutely guilty of what he's admitting to today, and probably more. With the system we work in, sometimes outcomes like yesterday are as far as you can get them.
And it was really Jason who said to us, you know, I'm here in jail and I trust you guys, and I want to tell you what happened. I want to tell somebody what happened to Zeb Quinn. And his reason for doing that was not to get himself a deal, okay? He knew that he's in very serious trouble. He told us that he wanted Zeb's mother to know what happened.
In the past, I've had a lot of anger and hatred towards you guys.
I know you have.
And I'm trying to change about that. I want to help you guys. I do. I honestly...
Sorry about that.
This has destroyed my life. I've got to get it off my chest and get the truth out there and get some resolve for his family.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
A major development in a missing case that's haunted people in the mountains for almost 2 decades. A Buncombe County grand jury has indicted Robert Jason Owens in the murder of Zeb Quinn.
One of the attorneys who represented Owens in the Codd case spoke with News 13 by phone tonight. Reaction to her client being charged now in the murder of Zeb Quinn.
I'm not totally surprised by it, because certainly I've known that Jason Owens has been the only suspect that they considered for the past, I guess, 17 years. Now, I'm surprised to hear that.
Okay, do you want to watch the next one? Because he got 65 to 74 years. We know who did it. Do we need to hear her talk about it? I guess I'll continue to play it, but let me know.
After all of this time, with no more information than apparently that they had 17 years ago that they have charged Jason Owens, that disappoints me.
The question is why it took so many years. Why now?
Any new evidence that prodded this indictment that was presented in court, or any evidence of a body found?
Those specifically are investigative matters and matters for the courts. I cannot answer specifically.
Police investigators cite an ongoing investigation as reason for few details at this point in the Quinn case.
We're still following up on leads of this case and going over what we do have and working to strengthen the case as we would in absolutely any homicide.
Buncombe County District Attorney Todd Williams backs up why police are holding off as part of something his office has to do as well, despite what is a cold case that has captivated people for so long.
I understand the community's interest in this case. However, this case, as our office views it, is no different from any other case that we're prosecuting.
In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic shut down the court system here, delaying hundreds of cases for months. Robert Jason Owens' case was one of them.
We continue to follow breaking news this afternoon. A plea deal in a 22-year-old cold case.
If it is a plea, for some reason, there's a benefit to him, or he perceives that there's a benefit.
Hard to believe 22 years this has really been captivating Western North Carolina and the nation. This case really grabbing a lot of headlines, a lot of attention, a lot of eyes really on this. Now go ahead and take a look at this video we captured. This was Owens entering court earlier today.
The court will accept the plea.
Owens stating his deceased uncle pulled the trigger.
And had he witnessed Gene Owens shoot and kill Zeb Quinn, and his answer was yes.
Clearly, Jason, put the pieces together for law enforcement.
Gene Owens admitted that he knew Adam Wright, and Adam told Jason that he had been the one to introduce Wesley Smith to Gene. So he considered himself to be, excuse me, the sort of the intermediary. All we know is that Adam told Jason that he had introduced Wesley to Gene. And we know that Gene somehow knew that Zeb had a thing for Missy, who was Wesley's girlfriend at the time. And that Gene, then went to Jason to get Jason to be the one to tell Zeb to come up to the woods that night.
Still, investigators said Owens was the last person seen with Zeb.
That security footage captured the last known images of Zeb Quinn, and that was the last time he was seen alive.
The fact that the family is in agreement with the plea, and based on the difficulty would be possibly to get a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt on the murder plea based on the conflicting evidence.
Today in court, Zeb's family, including his mother, accepting the plea, saying this.
This is the young man that was taken from his family, friends, and community and the world.
Hello.
This is the young man that would never have seen his end coming.
Okay, I hate these victim impact statements because 90% of them are fucking lie. Hi, welcome, host. My name is Saint Nikki K the Great, and we are about to watch an interview from my favorite serial killer. His name is Richard Kuklinski. He is fucking amazing, and I'm sorry, but his attitude, man, it tickles my insides. I love him. So I figured we could watch that right about now. So I want to thank you for watching. I want to tell you, you are amazing. Press like and subscribe because we have a good time.
1988, Richard Kuklinski was convicted of multiple murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. This ended 30 years of cold-blooded killing by a master criminal police called the Iceman.
God,
Richard
he is so
Kuklinski
fucking wonderful.
is one of the most dangerous criminals we
shut
have ever
up
come across in this state.
Look at him. He's
He
so
murdered by
handsome.
guns. He murdered by strangulation. He murdered by putting poison on victims' food. He did all of this at the same time while exhibiting a normal, placid family existence. His wife, his children were uninvolved in his criminal activities. Yet, we are faced with evidence, convicting evidence of numerous.
This man gives me heart eyes that look like that, Miss Muddy. He is my Ted Bundy.
Grisly murders.
people have you killed?
I have an approximate guess. Approximate, we'll go with more than 100.
I don't believe that. But
How do you feel about killing?
I don't.
that's true.
It doesn't bother me.
Also
It doesn't
true.
bother me at all. I don't have a feeling one way or the other. I think if I had a choice, I wouldn't.
Heart eyes.
The following program is based on 17 hours of an interview conducted under maximum security at Trenton State Prison. Law enforcement officials allowed our cameras unprecedented access in an attempt to uncover details of various unsolved crimes. It was also hoped that the interview would help to penetrate the mind of Richard Kuklinski, a mind made for murder.
And there's Mickey K. Heart eyes. Just want to say that. I don't know if I said that.
When I was out on the street to do something, I carried 3 guns and a knife. I had a Derringer in each pocket. And a gun on my ankle, a bigger gun just in case, and a knife. And it all depends how it came about.
You indicated yesterday that you used a shotgun to grab at a stoplight or something like that, or
I had a red light. We were following this fellow. I pulled up at a red light, came alongside of him, and shot the shotgun, took his head off. He never saw the green light. It was a sawed-off shotgun. It was very, as a matter of fact, when it happened, it surprised me. I expected the man to die, but it really surprised me when it took his head off. It was something I didn't expect.
Richard Kuklinski is not a serial killer. He's not a drug-crazed, wild man running around with a machine gun. He's not a person that is driven by perverse sexual desires.
He is motherfucking amazing, is what he is. I'm just saying.
He doesn't drink. He doesn't gamble. All of these things, which many persons that are involved in killing and murders often are motivated by. Richard Kuklinski, instead, is nothing more than a predator on human beings. His motivation is greed, and his method of murder is very varied and very extreme.
He is what we call a wolf in sheep's clothing. He pretends to be a sheep in wolf's clothing. He's a very dangerous guy, but he would hang out with us for sure because we're all fucking weird and we want everybody to be our friend. Or at least I do. I would be his friend.
Richard, I understand that you're an expert in the use of cyanide. How many times did you kill with it?
Quite a few.
what's the different ways you use cyanide?
You could put it in liquid form. You could, person could take it.
No, I think that guy's right. He's just a predator. A serial killer is a thrill killer, is what they call serial killers. He's not a thrill killer. Like he just wants to kill people, which makes him an actual serial killer. The definition, kill multiple people for no real reason. Not thrill killing, just killing a bunch of people to do it. It's different.
For instance, a person could be in a bar. You bump.
I know that. But he is so just the way he talks and the way he thinks. I mean, and just the way he looks. This is my type of guy. Ha! This is the guy. I would want to be friends with him. I would purposely try to make him laugh. It's no lie, you know it.
Into them possibly by mistake, or say you were intoxicated, spilled a drink on them.
And just for the record, do you know how much money or how many letters Ted Bundy got in jail? Do you know how many letters Charles Manson got in jail from girls that find them attractive? I never wrote him a letter, so I got that going for me. Though I did make friends with someone who used his name as an ID on Gab, and I made him be my friend just because he had that name.
And leave. Everybody just looks around, thinks you were drunk or that you just had an accident or something, and meanwhile, it's soaking through their clothes, into their pores, and into their system. And eventually, they'll die. I've been in a restaurant.
Okay, Michael.
Where we were eating, and the guy went to the bathroom. And while he was in the bathroom, we put a little boost in his food. And he was rushed to the hospital after that. And he died. And they buried him. I'm not exactly sure what they put on, what they attributed his death to. But, you know, it wasn't homicide.
Somewhere, and I don't know where, he picked up on cyanide poisoning as being a good way, a good, quick way to kill somebody. It's such a good way to kill somebody that that's the gas that's used in gas chambers. I mean, cyanide in a gas form, which is similar to cyanide in a being eaten form, kills very quickly. It kills faster than arsenic, faster than strychnine, and it's hard to detect.
He's so big of a dickhead. People want to be like him. That's why he had so many followers. It wasn't because he was charismatic, it's because he was a dickhead. And people just love that shit.
If it isn't specifically looked for.
He murdered, sometimes months apart, years apart. He used different methods. He would go so far as to plan in his crimes the actual deceit of law enforcement. By that I mean he would on occasion murder someone, cut their body, wrap them in layer after layer of plastic bags and material, and then deposit the body many, many miles from the murder scene.
What is it to dispose of something? You throw it away. You throw it anywhere. It all depends if you don't want it found or if you want it found. If you want it found, it doesn't matter. You just leave it there. If you don't want it found, you could take it somewhere. You could bury it. You could...
If you watch his body language, a lot of the shit he's saying is true. Because he looks a certain direction when he's telling you something. But when he's looking straight in the guy's eyes, blinking, he's not really telling the whole truth. He probably didn't have that many guns, you know? But like right now, he's looking off to the side where his memories are. And he's going off of memory, which means he's more than likely telling the truth. I learned that from behavior panel. See, I pay attention.
Put it in a big drum. You put it in the trunk of a car and have it crushed. You leave it in town, you can put it on a park bench. I mean, you know, you can put it anywhere you want. They found a few people sitting on park benches, I'm sure. As a matter of fact, I know they have.
Are there any murders that you committed that haunt you, that you just sort of you feel and you
Nothing haunts me. No murders haunt me.
That's not true. That's not true. Look at him. He's hooding his eyes. That's not exactly true.
Nothing. I don't think about it. That's why it's hard for me to tell you. In order for me to be able to tell you when something happened, I'd have to think about when.
Look, you see right there? He was the truth. If I have to think, if I have to tell you, if I have to think about it, then that's when he gets emotional. So it does haunt him. So he keeps his mind busy. But he's lying through a lot of this.
And if I think about it.
Although behavior panel says don't do that, but we cannot see the rest of his body. We can only see his face. So we have to judge on his face and the way he answers these questions. But he's really good at answering the questions. But his eyes tell the truth. As of like what I can see right now. But you can also tell he's fucking lying about some of this, right? Am I right?
It would wind up hurting me. So I don't think about it.
That's exactly what I said.
If I had a choice, and of course you has already said to me, we all have choices. Maybe we do. At the time I didn't seem to have one. But if I could have, I would like to be different than what I am. I would have liked to have been different than what I was, yes. It would be better. It would have been better for me. I would have liked to have had a better outlook on life. But I can't change yesterday.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. Did you see that smirk? I don't know. I think he's happy.
Richard Kuklinski was born April 11, 1935, in a low-income public housing project in Jersey City. His father was a brakeman for the railroad, and his mother worked in a meatpacking plant.
I didn't like my father, as he would beat me just because he felt like it. To get my attention, I guess. He would think nothing of coming in and smacking you. You know, basically. He'd just come in and give you a whooping for no reason whatsoever. And my mother was cancer. She would destroy everybody. She thought I took too long to do something. She didn't hesitate to give me a swat here and there. And she didn't just use her hand. She would hit me with a broomstick or something like that. It hurts.
Look, I'm not even gonna fucking lie. My kids are way bigger than me. And if these little motherfuckers want to be funny, I would hit that bitch with a spoon. I don't mean to call my bitches or my kids a bitch, but if they was trying to fight with me, fucking right I would. I'm sorry. And somebody as big as him, oh, forget it. I'd break a fucking broom on his back for sure. I'm not even kidding. My kids are humongous. Prison is not boring. Oh my God. Are you kidding? That's my favorite place in the world. It's a giant ass dance hall. Look, everybody loves everybody and it's great. I'm telling ya. Maybe boy prison is different, but I think it depends on the outlook that you have. You know what I mean? I guess it depends on what kind of person you are. Like if you're just a bubbly person, yeah, maybe you'll get beat up in prison being a bubbly person. But then again, maybe not. They leave people alone that mind their own business. Just don't get caught with contraband and shit, and they won't beat you up. That's pretty much what it boils down to. That keep your fucking nose clean. Don't smell the bullshit. Don't get involved with that, and then you won't have to. You know what I mean? Just handle your own shit. Also, be funny. Make people laugh. If you can make people laugh, they'll be nice to you. Look, back in the day in the kingship, the only person that could tell the truth was a jester because he made people laugh and he made the truth funny because it's always funny because it's true. No, and maybe it's because I'm institutionalized, I don't mind it. But if you can go into jail and handle what you gotta handle and be okay with the rules, jail is perfectly it's so fun. I learned how to dance. I learned how to I got a certificate in there for custodial um custodial maintenance. Yep. And I got the HVAC one, so I could be working in hospitals, killing biogerms and shit. Fucking right I can. But I got fucked up, so now I can't do shit. But anyway, let's finish watching this. He's my fucking favorite. We stopped at 11:11, so give a little prayer real quick. Dear God, save America. We love you so much. Peace out. Amen.
As a matter of fact, she broke the broom on me more than once.
Richard's
right I
mother
would.
believed that harsh discipline at home should go hand in hand with a rigid religious education.
I was raised Catholic.
I could see that.
We were she was strict as far as the religion goes. I went to...
Your mother?
My mother, yeah. My mother, we went to Catholic grammar school. And we were raised with the Catholic belief. I was even an altar boy. But during the course of my life, I don't really believe it. It's just the way it happened. Didn't mean it to happen that way, but it just happened that way.
When his father abandoned the family, Richard, a skinny, timid young teenager, was left to fend for himself. He was an easy target for street gangs, but by the time he was 16, things began to change.
When I was a young man, I found out that if you hurt somebody, they'll leave you alone. Good guys do finish last. when I tried to leave everybody alone, just do my own thing, everybody just wanted to hurt me. Until one day I just decided, well, I've had enough of this picking. And I went upstairs and I took a bar, which the clothes used to hang on in the closet. And I went back downstairs and there were like 6 young men still figuring they were gonna mess with my head, and we went to war. To their surprise, I was no longer taking the beating. I was giving it. And that's when I learned that it was better to give than to receive. I've been known to...
Oh, that is so fucking smart. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Give people what they need. Yeah. Oh, Jesus is so smart. I just got that. Give people what they need. A quick, swift kick in the dick.
hurt people for no reason. If you check out my background as I came up, I could be anywhere, and if somebody humiliated me, I would think nothing of hitting them with a cue stick. In an instant. And the only thing they might have done was made me feel bad or challenge my authority at the time.
Kuklinski's reputation as a tough guy with a hair-trigger temper grew. By the time he was 18, the abused had become the abuser. It wasn't long before he committed his first murder.
I got into a fight in a bar. We got into an argument, right? And I hit him with a cue stick. A few too many times. And he died.
How'd you feel after, when you found out he had died?
I had felt very bad. Very, very bad. I was upset. I didn't mean to do it, actually. But surprisingly, I felt sadness, and after a while, I felt something else. I didn't feel sad. It was sad along with some sort of a rush that I had control, and if you mess with me, I guess it's, if you mess with me, I'll hurt you.
By the time he'd reached his 20s, Kuklinski had become a petty crook and pool hustler. Then his life changed. In 1960, he met a pretty 19-year-old girl named Barbara Pedrin.
He was absolutely flowers at the door every day, and considerate and romantic, and all of the things that anybody could hope for, dream for. He bought me beautiful things. We went fun places. He was happiest when we were together. He was happiest when just he and I were together.
He and Barbara had 3 children. But with just an 8th grade education, he could only get low-paying jobs that didn't pay enough to support his growing family.
I didn't have the capability of getting a better paying job. Was I gonna push a yarn truck the rest of my life?
That is choices and not going to different places. That's fucking going to 2 or 3 places one fucking time. That is motherfucking bullshit. You can get a job. Do not let these fucking people lie to you that you cannot get a job. Because yes, the fuck you can.
Make menial amount of money. I couldn't have afforded 1 child, let alone 3.
He went to work at a film lab, where he began to pirate pornographic films and sell them to outside sources connected to the Gambino crime family. This connection led to other criminal activities, and it wasn't long before he went from being a small-time hood to a big-time killer. He worked as a hitman and associated with a gang that worked out of the notorious Gemini Lounge in Brooklyn. Above the lounge was a mafia killing factory where victims were killed and dismembered. Hacked bodies were packaged in plastic bags and carted away. Kuklinski was the perfect enforcer. He was brutal, and he knew how to intimidate. If people owed money, they either paid up or paid with their lives.
Most people paid their bills. Some didn't. I remember one guy, he was owed a lot of money. Well, I guess a considerable amount of money. He thought he could hide behind a door. It was a nice door, expensive door. Anyway, most people don't realize that when you come to answer a door, if there's light in the background, the person on the outside can look through the peephole and see the guy coming to the door. So he came to the door, I asked who it was, and he looked through the peephole.
This was his friend. You can tell. This was his fucking friend, somebody he knew and liked. He regrets this one. See, he said earlier, nope. But this is one. The one that mattered.
And he never saw what hit him.
For Richard Kuklinski, murder had become a way of life, and the macabre became the commonplace.
Would you ever use a chainsaw? I mean,
To cut someone up? Yes. I've done that. To dismember them, yes. Not to kill them, no.
what was it like to cut somebody up with even though the guy was dead? How did it feel to cut some guy up with a chainsaw?
Wow. Why would you ask
I didn't
that?
have any feeling one way or the other. That just happened. That's the way it had to be.
Messy.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Did it make you sick?
No. I've had requests where the guy wanted the guy's tongue cut out. And he also wanted his tongue put in his rear end. So I believe there was a definite point he wanted to get across. I have an experience that I don't know if I should tell you or not. That it probably would offend a lot of people. I don't know. I don't think I should. I'll go into that.
Go ahead.
Nah, it's not a good one.
No, go ahead. Tell him.
There was a man, he was begging and pleading
This
and
was
praying, I
another
guess.
friend. This was another friend. Or somebody that mattered. The better question is, what's wrong with us that that we want to watch this? Tomorrow we're gonna watch something. Well, we're gonna watch Michael's thing, and then we're going to watch something called the Psychopath Awards. I watched them this morning live on Discord, but we can watch them again tomorrow because it's so fucking funny.
And he was pleased garden all over the place. So I told him he could have a half hour to pray to God. And if God could come down and change the circumstances, he'd have that time. But God never showed up. And he never changed the circumstances. And that was that. It wasn't too nice. That's one thing I shouldn't have done, that one. I shouldn't have done it that way.
By the 1970s, between his illegal activities and contract killings, he was becoming a wealthy man. He now lived in an expensive home in a middle-class neighborhood with his wife and 3 children.
Richard, what did you charge for a hit?
If I hit somebody, I wouldn't hit it for peanuts. I'd like to have some money.
Some people are just taken over by evil. You know, Satan needs people in his army just like God does. That's why God asks us if we want to come down here to learn how to be better than the devil people so we can destroy them by being better at their shit. And then when we die, we go to heaven and we have strength to fight because we know what to do. Or something like that. That's what it seemed like Jesus said.
I say if I were to do somebody, I want at least 5 figures. And at least up in the better half, not the lower half of the 5 figures.
Kuklinski kept his criminal life secret from his family and neighbors. He told them he was a businessman. No one knew his business was murder.
We were perfect. My children were never in trouble. We were perfect. We were the all-American family. I mean, we had what seemed to be the perfect life. There were wonderful times. And time with his family was the only thing that he was really concerned. I mean, if he never had to leave the house, he would have loved it. He hated to have to travel. He hated to go away. He came back as soon as he can. He wanted to be home all the time. He wanted to be with us all the time.
I enjoyed that way of life. I felt I had achieved something. I very seldom left the house unless I had to, because I felt secure in the house. I felt very secure. I tried to provide the best for them as I knew how. Might not have been the right way to go, but it was for me.
He looked like the guy from the Goodfellas. Just want to say that.
Way. I tried to never let anything touch the house. I brought nobody there. My family was not exposed to anybody. I wanted to show them the good side of life, Not the bad side.
Richard had a very, very sad childhood. You got the impression, or I knew because he would like say something and then drop it and change the subject, that he was abused and that there was no love. He grew up absolutely without any love, without a doubt. I mean, the first Christmas with my family, he was in awe. He couldn't believe it. It was a tree and everyone was cooking special things and there was lots of, we were laughing and it was fun, and he kept saying, I can't believe that this is what happens.
It was a Jekyll and Hyde existence. The way it was, and the way I wanted it to be, absolutely two different lives. I wanted one life. I had to have another life.
This other life would interrupt one Christmas Eve. While his family was celebrating the holidays, Kuklinski left his home to collect on a bad debt. Business was business, even on Christmas Eve.
The man owed me money. He was giving me a runaround. I told him I wasn't happy that he wasn't going to pay me. He had the attitude that nobody could hurt him. I think he was wrong.
Or a high goon.
Anyway, he never saw Christmas.
Hi, baby.
Who did you use?
A gun.
Okay.
Extremely loud inside of a car. Matter of fact, my ears were ringing for a long time.
Do you want to come
What'd you do
give me a
afterwards?
hug?
I walked away, got in my car, and went home.
What'd you do when you got home?
I put toys together for the kids for Christmas. I saw the broadcast while I was putting the toys together. It came down. Mob-related killing. That was the first time I knew I was mob-related.
How'd you feel?
I was annoyed I couldn't get the damn wagon together.
I never questioned him, and you just knew, don't do it, don't ask. If he got up at 2 o'clock in the morning or during dinner and put on his shoes and walked out the door, you said bye. You didn't say, where are you going or why are you going? And it was just understood that that's the way it was. He was very private. You only knew what he wanted you to know.
By the 1980s, after 25 years of working as a hitman for the mob, Richard Kuklinski became the head of his own crime ring. He developed new ways to profit from murder. The case of Paul Hoffman was typical of the way he operated. On the afternoon of April 29, 1982, Hoffman arrived at a warehouse leased by Kuklinski. Like numerous victims of the Iceman, he had been set up for a phony business deal.
Paul Hoffman was a pharmacist, and he was looking for a quick buck. He was out to purchase a drug called Tagamet, which was at the time a wonder drug for ulcers. And he felt that if he could purchase a large quantity of this Tagamet at a very low price, that he could indeed make a huge profit on that. And that was the alleged deal that he had with Richard Kuklinski.
When Paul Hoffman showed up to buy the Tagamet, he was carrying $25,000 in cash.
Wow, why would you carry them? Oh, yeah, because he's buying drugs. Why? Drugs ruin everything.
He took the bag, door opened it, showed me a whole mess of money, a whole mess of cash. He said, look, I got the money right here. And he came back He says, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, how am I going to get this merchandise? I put the gun under his chin, and I said, there is no merchandise. And I shot him. He didn't die. The gun jammed.
He looked good.
He was gurgling. I had hit him.
Okay.
It was, blood was pouring out of his mouth. And,
Welcome back.
he was in I would imagine it looked like he was in a lot of pain. So there was a tire iron there. I took the tire iron and hit him with it, which knocked him out. And he died. I then took him and put him in a 50-gallon drum, put it on the side of a motel. It was behind Harry's Corner. I listened to the people. I went in Harry's every morning. The thing was there for a long time. I looked at it every day. It was there. I went in Harry's every day. One day it was just missing. Continued to go in Harry's to see if anything was said about it. Nothing was said. I don't know what happened to the drum.
By the 1980s, Kuklinski was involved in narcotics, pornography, arms dealing, money laundering, hijacking, and contract killing on a worldwide basis. He was also pressing 50 and getting tired. He started to make mistakes. He began to leave traces, and law enforcement officers who had suspected him over the years began gathering evidence. Kuklinski would protect himself by killing anyone who could testify against him. On December 27, 1982, a body was discovered at the York Motel in New Jersey. The body was identified as Gary Smith, 37. Smith had been given cyanide and then strangled to death. This was the first of many mistakes Kuklinski was to commit.
Gary Smith was found under a motel bed in New Jersey, as I recall, where some 20 people had used the room in 5 days and nobody had realized there was a rotting body underneath it. The body was found in a decomposed state. It was very hot weather. Smith would have not been identified as a murder victim if he had died only of the cyanide. If the cyanide had worked and he had died, and he didn't need to be strangled, that ligature mark around the neck wouldn't have been seen, and he would have been possibly a drug addict overdose, or lots of other things of a non-homicidal nature would have to be considered.
On September 25, 1983, the body of Louis Masgay was found. As he had done many times before to confuse the time of death, Kuklinski had frozen the body in an industrial freezer. This was the murder that earned him the name of Iceman. This murder was also his second deadly mistake.
He did too good a job in that body because he left that body in the freezer for 2 years, then took the body out and dumped it in Rockland County, and the body was found before it had fully thawed out. So the doctor doing the autopsy, the medical examiner in Rockland County, when he opened the body up, saw ice inside the body in the summer's day and said, there's something wrong here. This guy could not have died 2 days ago the way he looks like from the outside.
On May 14, 1983, a bicyclist was riding down a lonely road in a wooded area and saw a buzzard feeding on a body. It was Daniel Deppner, 44, the third business associate of Richard Kuklinski, to be found dead. The body count grew. There would soon
Holy
be 5 unsolved
shit.
murders with one thing in common. The last person to see the victims alive had been Richard Kuklinski. After 30 years of getting away with murder, Richard Kuklinski's time was running out. He had been under investigation for 3 years, and the police were beginning to put the pieces together.
What I told my superiors in Trenton was that, hey, look, you know, we can check with the FBI and we can see that there's a certain number of given serial killers roaming around this country of ours. But take a good hard look at what we got here. We got Richie Kuklinski, and there's only one of him.
In 1986, a division of the New Jersey Criminal Justice Department set up a task force made up of federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies. The task force analyzed existing investigative material and gathered new information. They had one mission: to arrest and convict Richard Kuklinski.
When I first read the file, which at the time was nothing more than a compilation of several different unsolved homicides, the more you looked for connections, the less you found in this particular case, because there was different types of murders.
What do you guys think of this guy so far? Like, Miss Muddy, what do you think of him so far? This is my favorite serial killer. Well, killer. He's not really a serial killer. He doesn't just kill for no reason, really. Well, there's really, it's money related always. But what do you think of him so far?
Different devices used. The final method that was used was, in fact, the introduction of a undercover federal agent, Dominic Polifrone, who was able to win Mr. Kuklinski's confidence and was able to record conversations where he detailed his participation in these murders.
I portrayed myself as a hitman. Told him I worked for the wise guys downtown New York, and my brother was a good fella downtown, and I went by the name of Dominic Michael Provenzano.
You willing to go out on a contract? If the price is right, I'll talk to anybody. Yeah? Sure. And you mean to tell me your way is nice and clean and nothing fucking shows up? Well, it may show, my friend, but it's quiet. It's not messy. It's not noisy. It's not, you know. Yeah, but how the fuck do you put it together, like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, there's always a way. There's a will, there's a way, my friend.
We used to sit down, we talk. Either we'd go to those tables over there and get away from people, and we discuss how to murder people.
You know, I just have a few problems I want to dispose of. I have some rats I want to get rid of. Yeah. The only fucking thing I don't understand, don't you use a...
Yeah. They do have, but yeah, him as like all around, like him as yeah, exactly, like vile, but he's kind of smart. I mean, he's not really, well, he is really that smart. But I think it's like the guy said, he just got tired. I think he wanted to get caught because he was tired. Like, what do you think?
Fucking piece of iron to get rid of these fucking people. Use this fucking cyanide? Why be messy? You can do it nice and calm.
It became apparent at later points in the investigation that Mr. Kuklinski fully intended on murdering.
Right. And I also got another thing we can watch. There's two other things. Whatever Michael said, and then something on this guy called Jimmy Savile. No. What Michael said, the psychopath awards, and then something on this guy called Jimmy Savile.
Dominic Polifrone, in addition to the victims that were being discussed at the time they were having these tape-recorded conversations. So he could pretty much tell Dominic Polifrone anything because he knew shortly that he had plans for Mr. Polifrone too.
You put that stuff in a mist, you spray it in somebody's face, and they go to sleep. No shit. As long as he's dead, that's the bottom line. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? No matter how it was done, I mean, I know guys that went to sleep and never woke up again. I mean, you know.
He says he had one guy, he went and get a hamburger, they come back and he put the cyanide on his hamburger. And we're sitting down and he's telling me, he says, you wouldn't believe it. He says, I'm waiting for this guy to keel over. He says, because once you eat cyanide, usually you'd roll over and that's it.
Michael.
This guy had the constitution of a fucking bully.
Give the pillow some head and the sheets some ass. Have the sweetest dreams ever. Good night.
He says, you wouldn't believe it. He says he wouldn't die, and we're both laughing about this. And I'm saying in the back of my mind, I said, holy God. I said, look at this. I said, what kind of person is this? I said to myself right there, I said, you better cover your butt. I said, because you just don't know with this guy. And he'd be kidding about it, and I'd be laughing. In the back of my mind, I'm saying, this is the devil. No question about it, this is the devil.
On December 17, 1986, the Special Task Force set up a roadblock and arrested Richard Kuklinski outside his home in Dumont, New Jersey. They felt they had all the evidence they needed for a conviction.
The whole road was blocked off with cops. Local police, state police, Division of Criminal Justice investigators, county personnel. There was no place for him to go. So he stopped his car. He was told to get out of the car, and he did not.
Uh-oh.
So he was taken out of the car, and he was placed face down on a street.
They mean thrown face down. You know how these fucking cops are. Their adrenaline gets all bumpy. Yeah, no, I bet they threw him on the ground.
In a position where we thought we were safe. And then I handcuffed him. That guy's big. I did everything I could to get one click on the handcuffs. And later on, I tried to put leg irons on him, and there's no way they would go on. They just wouldn't go on.
Law enforcement authorities have arrested one of the most notorious contract killers in state history. A self-employed Bergen County man is behind bars, charged with 5 murders, and prosecutors are investigating his involvement in dozens more.
This is unwarranted, unnecessary. These guys watch too many movies.
He is such a cold-blooded killer, they call him the Iceman. After being convicted of 2 murders, he confessed to 2 others in court today.
I shot George Malvin 5 times. Louis Masgay on July 1st, 1981. I shot him once in the back of the head.
When the judge asked him why he had killed the 2 men, Kuklinski replied,
It was due to business.
Dominic Polifrone's tapes had nailed Kuklinski, but in court, the Iceman greeted the undercover cop with a smile.
He seemed to be quite cheery about saying hello to you.
Well, I reciprocated. The only thing is, I'm going home, and he's going to an environment at the present time.
It wasn't real to us. We just had a hard time dealing with what was in the press, and I kept saying, no way, and I don't believe it. And then when I actually heard his voice, in court, it was very hard to believe that he talked like that. It was very, very difficult to believe.
I've done it always, as far as you've known or heard.
How would you guys feel about this?
There isn't too many things I haven't tried. No matter how it was done, I mean, I know guys that went to sleep and never woke up again. I mean,
the consensus of the federal, state, county, and local law enforcement agencies that were involved in this investigation is that Richard Kuklinski is one of the most dangerous criminals we have ever come across in this state. Further, it's our feeling that he is of such a diabolical, methodical type of killer that it's very possible that when all is said and done, we still may never know how many people he has actually killed.
What Richard has been accused of and found guilty of and spoke to you about goes against God and man. I have very strong feelings. I am totally anti-violence. I mean, as are my children. And I can't make those wrongs right. I can't make them right in my own mind. We are Richard Kuklinski's family, and we aren't ourselves anymore. We're Richard Kuklinski's family.
I've never felt sorry for anything I've done other than hurting my family. The only thing I feel sorry for.
No. We found the one thing you feel sorry for, killing your friend. So this is the second thing you feel sorry for. Quit fucking lying. Okay, so it's pretty much over. He's got life plus some. I don't think he has a death penalty.
I'm not looking for forgiveness, and I'm not repenting. No, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I do want my family to forgive me.
No.
Oh, boy.
I don't understand that. Always wanting to make killers cry. Like, why? Like, oh, killers have feelings too. It's like, no. Keep them fucking scary. Don't make them have feelings. This is why the people love the Joker instead of Batman. Because you're making these killers be all sentimental and shit. It's fucked up. Anyway, that's the end of that. He at least got life in prison. Maybe a little more. Who knows?
I can make this one. Oh, shit.
I don't know. Fuck it. He is in prison for a long time. That's pretty much that. But I am gonna go ahead and end right here. It is 11:30 at night. So I want to say it's time to give the pillow some head and the sheets some ass and have the sweetest dreams ever. And join me tomorrow at 8 p.m. for my Bible live stream. I will greatly appreciate it. So thank you. And that's it. So we'll be back tomorrow. I love you guys so much. Good night.